Hello everyone, so welcome to another unboxing video of mine. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I already unboxed the flute to take out this kind of stuff, which is a 1-year warranty chart for the Hall Crystal Flute. And also here is a digital Celtic flute book that it comes with the flute, and also the standard fingering chart. So because I bought a D key flute, so it has this D major scale on here, and then it has G major scale, and also the full chromatic scale. Okay, so let's go to the flute itself. So it comes in this box, but of course when it's posted to me, it comes with lots of bubble wrap and a paper bag, like paper box. Okay, and this is the case, and yep, so this is the sponge covering the flute, and then okay, so this is the flute inside. So let's take it out. Okay, since there's condensation in here, I'm not gonna lie to you, I just try to play a sound on here, and then I decided to film an unboxing video. Okay, so for the holes, it actually has this sort of offset finger holes, which I think is quite common in Celtic flutes, but it's definitely uncommon to me because I play the Chinese Dizi and the Western concert flute. So the closest thing I have to a glass flute is acrylic Dizi, and its holes are all in line. But on the Hall Crystal Flute, it's offset. But at the same time, the holes are really far apart to each other. So I feel like I can't just use these 3 fingers to cover it. I need to use my right hand pinky and also left hand ring finger to cover all the holes. Okay, and let me try to make a sound on this. I just applied a Dizi fingering on here, so it's basically just letting go hole by hole, and it sounds fine on here. So what stands out to me is, in fact, this flute is a lot harder to like properly grab as compared to, you know, a Dizi or a Western concert flute. I think the first reason is because it has such a small diameter. So if you would look at my acrylic Dizi, see, because this is made of the very thin material, so the glass very thin, and it just results in a really skinny flute. And also you know, because for the mouthpiece, I don't know if you should call it the hole or the mouthpiece, but whatever, because it doesn't have, you know, this extension bit that happens on Chinese flutes, so when I play it, my posture would naturally go into some sort of offset instead of, you know, having this hole in line to my bottom lip, and which makes the sound more airy and less clear. If you usually think in Western concert flute sort of thinking, or Chinese flute, that sort of thinking, you would just naturally want to, you know, tighten your aperture, make your air, you know, more intense, and make your flute more parallel, so everything sounds more bright. But of course, if you're playing different types of music, for example the Japanese imperial court music that I mentioned in my previous episodes, then maybe it's not a priority, you know, to get such a clear sound. But yeah, and also for this flute, because it's skinny and I have smaller hands, yes, so when I read the official website's guidelines, it says if you have small hands, don't buy the C key flute. So I bought the D key flute, which is the next biggest flute that I could pick. But still, I feel like it takes a bit of time for me to actually adjust to it. And also, I feel like when I'm trying to hold the flute, because it's so narrow in diameter. So the proper flute holding, would be like the thumb under this finger and also this. But because it's skinny, I feel like my thumb would naturally, go this way, and it just results in a more deformed sort of hand posture, and maybe it's not ideal for playing it for a long time. And also, yeah, for this hand, I need to, consistently make sure my thumb is not leaning that way, just because the flute is very narrow in diameter and small. So, and because the holes, they are far apart from each other, especially for this one, I like, on one hand I need to exert enough force so the hole is covered, but on the other hand, because it's made of glass, maybe it's a psychological thing, I am just really scared that if I hold it too tightly I might break it. But in fact, I feel like this glass, it just feels like the Pyrex test tubes that are made of borosilicate glass that you use in chemistry labs. So I feel like it's not that brittle, but still. Okay, so when holding it, I just need to spend a lot more time, to try to adjust to this new sort of feeling. And yeah, about the offset holes, I've played an Irish flute that I've borrowed from a friend, and it has offset fingering, but of course I'm not an Irish flute expert, so I can't say that to all of the Irish flutes, but definitely it feels very different to a Chinese Dizi. So let me just try to see if I can play a tune on here. Okay, it sounds really nice, and to be honest, it feels effortless to go to the middle and the high register. So when I'm relaxed, maybe because of my habits of playing the Dizi and the Western concert flute, my lips would naturally go pretty tight. So it would just go straight to the middle register instead. So the lower register, it needs to have this really relaxed embouchure to go to the lower register. Or I feel like I'm purposefully trying to blow air into the certain angle to reach lower register. So let me try to play something. Okay, yeah, well, I feel like I'm a lot more used to, the mouthpiece, and also, creating a certain, texture on this flute that would be optimal, but I feel like still the biggest challenge for me to play it properly is the offset fingering and the fact that the holes are so far apart from each other and my hands are so small. Well, it seems to be my problem instead of my foot's problem. Okay, so in fact, because it's a D key flute, and yesterday I was still practicing my D key Dizi, so I thought I can just straight up pull off some sort of tune on here, but I need to get used to it, maybe to stretch my fingers a bit before practicing and playing it. And for the price of it, so in fact I ordered this flute like 3 years ago, and because by that time I haven't settled in Australia, so I thought, oh, if I just gonna let them dispatch it, so the flute might arrive in one country and I'm already in another country. So I just got it this year, but the price that I paid for it was around 200 Australian dollars, I think. And I feel like for this price, right, so and the craftsmanship of this flute, I have to say it's pretty good because I could play like the really high notes pretty effortlessly, so it's definitely a functioning flute. And plus the pattern, I picked the lily pattern. Initially I picked the ivy pattern, so it's all green and stuff, but this year I talked to the flute store and they said that they discontinued that, so I just chose my next favorite pattern. And the whole flute, it feels very nice, and also because it's glass, it has this really nice sort of clarity. So yeah, because I own the plastic Dizi, and actually I own more than one plastic Dizi, and because they're made of acrylic or plastic, throughout the years, it just have like minor scratch marks and affects the clarity, so it doesn't look as crystal-like, as transparent, but because this is made of, I would say, borosilicate glass, so I think it's gonna last like this for a very long time. And yes, when playing it, because it's skinny and so transparent, so you definitely can see some condensation in here, so yeah, it would make it less transparent. And also for this flute, like the sound, I would say the sound is like it's definitely more airy, because how do I put it, because I'm used to Chinese flute and also Western concert flutes, and for the quality of sound you would naturally want to go for that bright and clear sound, which has a different logic to this. So but because I collect flutes, and like in one of my previous videos I've demonstrated a Japanese flute that they use in their imperial court music. So it's not that all countries or all people that play the flute would uniformly look for clarity and brightness in the sound. So I would just try to accept this slightly airy and warmer tone of the glass flute to be its characteristic, instead of saying it's a flaw. And yeah, so overall I feel like this flute is worth the price, and it looks beautiful, and it's definitely very functional. It plays, and you can hit the high notes effortlessly. It's just that for people with really small hands, you've got to look out there and maybe consider a flute that's shorter than a D key. And also yeah, like in the past I always wanted to collect a Celtic flute but never got the chance, but I feel like this might be the first Celtic flute that I have ever actually encountered, played and collected. So yeah, that wraps up everything about it, and I hope you have enjoyed my video. If so, feel free to check out my channel. I play all sorts of flutes, and especially ethnic ones, and also I compose my original music. So thanks for watching my video, and see you next time.